your Black world and the Black Business School. And I want to say welcome to drboycetv.com. This is the home for intelligent Black people. So if you're Black and intelligent, shout yourself out in the chat. I'm going to give you guys time to come into the chat. And I'm really excited about today's conversation. You guys know that we have had a lot of discussions about some real interesting, I would say, debaucherous niggatry happening in the midst of that's what comes to mind, you know. But I think about what happened with Gayle, and I'm not even going to do any talking because the individuals that I have the privilege of speaking with today, they should be doing all the talking, and they will be the teachers, and we will be the students. So I hope you will join me in welcoming Monique and Sydney Hicks. You know both of them very well, and I want to say welcome to Dr. Boyce TV. How y'all doing today?
Wonderful, baby.
Fantastic.
All right. So we're just gonna jump right into it. So everybody, as you come in, please hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. And if you're Black and intelligent, shout it out. Shout out your city, stuff like that. And so let's jump into the conversation. We just gonna jump right into it because I've been dying to get your point of view on this. Where do I begin? Okay, so let's start with Gayle King and the whole thing with insinuating that Kobe Bryant might have been a rapist. I assume you both saw the interview and how that went down. And a lot of people on our platform, in particular around the world, I think, were very upset that Gayle kept pushing the issue like that, even though there wasn't any evidence that Kobe did anything to anybody, though he was not convicted or even put on trial or anything like that. What was your first reaction when you saw what went down there?
You know, when I saw the interview, it felt like, for me, we want to try to make something be wrong. We've got to keep pushing it to make this Black man, we can't give him this record of he was just a great guy. So it kept being pushed, and we were so proud of our sister Lisa Leslie because she was very classy, she was very graceful, and she shut it down. But when you watched our sister Gayle King, when you watched her do what her best friend does, when it feels like when it comes to Black men, I've got to demonize you. And I think it was very insensitive. I think it was out of order, out of line. And I think when I saw, for me, Snoop's video, and he said, "Can I say it? I know I ain't the only one that looked in the screen and said, yes, you can." Voice, you know you looked at the screen and said, say it, brother. Go on and say it. Go on and say it.
Well, I would tell you the truth. I was saying, like, I hope you don't say it because I didn't think he had to say it. Because I feel that what they do is I felt like they were going to deflect the conversation at that point. And I'd like to get your take on that. You know, right after Snoop made that video, Oprah then goes on TV and jumps into the victim's shoes, right? The victim role. Like, oh, Gayle she's not doing well, and she starts breaking out with these Becky tears, and you know, and she has to get security now, like her and Gayle, they never had to have security before, right? And I really felt that was actually further feeding into this image of the Black man as a predator, and put Gayle as the victim in all this, which deflected from Gayle's original predatory behavior in the first place. What do you think about that?
See, I don't think it did, because when I hear you and you speak to the Black intelligent people, well, we got to speak to just the Black people, and whomever you deem unintelligent or to the left, to the right. What I heard was Uncle Snoop. What I heard was an uncle saying, don't let us have to bring you in the basement and check that ass. Not no violence, because we all have those aunt and uncles in our community, in our families that say, boys, am I hearing correctly what you're doing? Don't let me whip your... And no one was offended because you knew it was coming from a place of love. You knew it was coming from a place of, we've got to deal with you right now because it's gone too far. mama didn't talk to you, cousin Elsie didn't talk to you, and now you only gonna hear these words right here to grab your attention because we've been saying it for years, boys. So I don't think it deflected anything. I think it brought more attention to what they've done to demean the Black man.
But there was a somewhat of a binary effect in the sense of people who know what it is felt just like Monique said. But to paraphrase, I believe it was Malcolm X who said, the media has a way of making the guilty look innocent and the innocent look guilty. To those individuals that may not be from our neck of the woods, from our community, what it did when he made those remarks, it did deflect it in the sense of it did not allow her to be highlighted for not taking responsibility for what she communicated, as opposed to passing it off on CBS. There was no pun intended, ownership that she took as it pertained to what she had said, and then he ended up subsequently happening to be the one who apologized, and I never heard an apology from her. And lastly, what I found most interesting about the whole dynamic was when she went to apologize, she said that I was told that I should just let the whole thing pass and not say anything about it. This is a technique that has been used by Oprah, Tyler Perry, because he's not come forward and given the apology that he said he was going to give to Monique. So they use this evasive technique of you'll be dragged for a moment, but then something else will hit the hotlines, and then the focus won't be on you anymore.
And I love the fact that you brought that point up, and because that's why I deliberately went out of my way to make sure we kept talking about it. Like we gonna keep talking about this shit until it's resolved. This ain't one of those like 2-day news cycle type situations, because as you mentioned, Gayle still has not apologized to anybody. You know, so I want to ask you about that. You know, what are your thoughts on this? When I see Snoop, when I saw Snoop issue the first apology, it wasn't a complete full apology, which I don't think he had to apologize. Like I agree with you. I think the good outweighed the bad in the sense of, you know, Gayle needed to be checked. You know, it wasn't as if Snoop was talking about all women. Snoop was talking about that woman, right? Mm-hmm. You know, and so, you know, but when I saw Snoop's first statement, which I almost felt like he was making it under duress. I didn't get a sense that he was, that he really wanted to do it. I was like, okay, that's enough. We're done. And then I saw another, you know, apology, which I guess he connected to, you know, my mom. I talked to my mama, and this was, you know, I became a little bit concerned that you have this scenario where the original predatory behavior was conducted by Gayle. Gayle started all this, right? But yet somehow Snoop is the one apologizing multiple times. And it just saddened me to see a black man, a strong black man, weakened in that way. So can you speak to maybe the pressure that Snoop might have been under from the powers that be? You know, because Viacom, I know he's got some deals with Viacom and some of these others. What kinds of phone calls do you think? Because I'm sorry, I don't believe it was just the mama. Because you know, his mama had been around for 25, 30 years back when he was, you know, making music and doing all kinds of stuff that could have been critiqued, if you want to put it that way. So what phone calls do you think he got that led to those apologies?
Well, when you say it wasn't just the mama, it was also the boss lady, his wife. It was also his beautiful chocolate daughter. And as my husband explained to me, he said, Mama, that man has women in his life that he respects and loves. Because if any of those women said, wait a minute, hold up. I know you mad as hell, but if anybody called me a funky dog head bitch, what you gonna do? So I don't know if those were the exact words. I don't know if those were the words at all, but I don't find Snoop to be the type of black man that's gonna waver or bow down because Viacom or anybody got involved. I feel like that was one of those things for me. Because I know that I know that brother. I've been in his company. We've had conversations. I think that was one of those things where it was like, listen, that's still our sister. And I didn't raise you like that. I know she's wrong. I know she is. But you can't do it that way. So for me, I don't believe it was any powers that be. I believe it was mama, daughter. Like I got these women in my life too.
So you don't think there's any financial pressure that because I'm almost wondering if Snoop had never like reversed his position at all, you don't think that would have affected his brand? You don't think it would have affected his business relationships, endorsements, things like that?
I'll let you take it, Daddy.
I was just gonna say that you never know what will affect what. You really don't. But what I will say is, in a parallel situation, Terry Crews was ridiculed because he didn't stand with Gabrielle Union in her what she had noted regarding America's Got Talent, and was crucified. He gave his statement saying that, you know, the only person he has to stand with is his wife. But then he came back and he changed the statement. And what Monique and I were discussing is the dynamic is different when you have a household and you have a team and you have a family. Whereas if I hate to go back, but this is the most personal and closest thing to us. If I heard my wife on audio saying that she owes someone an apology that directly and adversely affected the quality of their life over a lie, there's no way I'm not going to have a conversation to say, you owe this person an apology. So when Terry Crews came back, I visualized his wife having a conversation with him in reference to how the Black woman is not normally supported. And though she understood what he was trying to convey with regards to her as being his queen, and that's all I have to look out for, I think she may have said to him, but there's more, because there's a lot of sisters out here that need your voice too. And when Snoop did the Monique show back in the day, he made it a point of talking about him not handling his home life properly. And a brother named Tupac Shakur had to pull him up and say, hey, that woman you with right now, that's your queen. And y'all been together since y'all was in high school. And he said he had to thank Tupac for really making him see the light. So when you have a queen like that you've been riding with since high school, and I know personally because I've been riding with her since high school, it's one of those things that the words that they convey to you mean a whole lot more. Mm-hmm. And if nobody else is proud of you, you got to have your woman proud of you. So I think that conversation would definitively supersede any other person. Because if your wife said to you, hey man, forget Viacom, what you said was right, this, that, and the other, ride with that, he will ride with that. So I really believe his wife and family and mom trump everything.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody who just came in, I'm speaking with Oscar or Academy Award winning actress Monique and her wonderful husband, Sidney Hicks. And we're talking about a lot of stuff, particularly Oprah, Gayle, and all kinds of things that have been happening. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button if you guys haven't done it yet. Also, I want you guys to know that Monique has a comedy special out. Now, your comedy special, where can people watch your comedy special at?
On Showtime.
On Showtime. Okay, I almost said Netflix, but I know I shouldn't have.
Right, boys, you know, don't pop that off.
There we go. All right, so I'm going to make sure I get it right. I'm going to double check that. All right, so everybody, make sure you support the sister and you know, in the work that she's doing, because I'm going to tell you, I think a lot of people are really proud of you two as a couple because of the way you've represented Black love so well and the way you've represented the community so well. You know, and I'd like to get your take on sort of what that was like when the first thing kind of popped off with Netflix. A lot of people didn't believe you. You know, a lot of people thought you were going overboard and like, oh, she's crazy. But I noticed, I watched, you know, I keep my finger on the pulse of the people, and I watched public opinion kind of sway over time to the point where you had support in the beginning, but not as much as you had later on, when people started seeing what you were seeing, particularly as it pertained to Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry, things like that. What was that process like for you two as a couple to kind of see the reactions from the public?
You know, I remember, boys, when it first hit, right? And my husband took me by my hands and he said, we're going to be good. And he said, the only way this goes away, Mama, is if we stop talking about it. That's the only way it's gonna go away. So through the whole process, we've never stopped talking about it. And again, when you have a foundation, and this is the part that I don't think we get enough of in our community or these conversations, because we're being taught to be such individuals, and to help with a team, you gotta be a boss and you wanna be a power couple. But because the foundation was so strong for me at home, and when I'm home, I'm a wife and I'm a mother and I'm at baseball games and I'm learning new recipes and all those things, it didn't allow me to focus in on, oh, whoa, oh no, because I knew that that wasn't the priority, though it's the livelihood, but my family is the priority. So to say, how did I get through the process? I knew what was important. I knew the fight we had to have and we're having, but I also know what's important, and that's the family. And that's how I've, as the entertainer, been able to get through this.
In addition to the fact that we understand that our community from 1619 to the present has been programmed to be fearful of the powerful. So for them to, it's kind of like if you watch an herpetologist handling a snake and he's bit by a snake, he's not angry at the snake and doesn't strike the snake because he understands why the snake bit him, because he put himself in a position to be bit by the snake. Not to compare our community by any means to the snake, but we oftentimes have empathy for why an animal may act in a certain way due to fear. But we forget that we too are animals, mammals, and we operate the same way based upon fear. So when you're programmed in an environment that has told you you need to be fearful of the powerful, why would we expect them to side with Monique as a Black woman? See, women are the second-class citizens in societies around the world, but not many places can speak in reference to the Black woman in the way in which America can. The Black woman has had to take care of the white man, the white woman, the Black man, the white man's kids, and the Black man's kids, and has been raped by that white man, and then had to come take care of that Black man. So now you want her to be listened to? So there's a level of conditioning that we have to break in terms of reprogramming ourselves. And I think there are a lot of people who are becoming more astute in terms of observers. They say repetition brings on retention. And people are starting to see, based upon the level of repetition of the many Black women and voices that are saying, we are having a problem in Hollywood. When our sister, says, Viola Davis, they call me, what?
The Black Meryl Streep.
But they don't want to pay me like the Black Meryl Streep.
They don't want to pay me like the white Meryl Streep.
My bad.
But they call me the Black one.
That's
Boys,
right.
You see the tricks.
You see.
The Black Meryl Streep. Wow. When Meryl is really the white Viola Davis. So that's interesting. You know what? I'll tell you what. Hollywood is a strange place for me. You know, I don't understand a lot of what happens there. It doesn't add up to me. I'm a big fan of the Black Hollywood. You know, I think that people like yourself, can be and are trailblazers in that regard. In the sense that I think that a space where we're making films that have our images presented in the way that we deem appropriate, where we aren't asking for permission, I believe that's the future of Black people. You know, I think that's because you think about it, I mean, we have the talent. We have almost all the talent. You know, the whole world copies off of us. In fact, let me tell you, I went to a party at the All-Star game, All-Star weekend. I'm not a big partier, you know, but me and my fiance went to a party. It was hosted by the Air Jordan brand. And I like the guys that run that company. They're good brothers and stuff like that. But here's what's fascinating. So just from observing and talking to the executives, my sense was that the way they were able to go make billions of dollars was by basically studying the black male in the inner city, the urban Black male, and looking at what he does. looking at what he wears, looking at his swag, and then exporting that swag around the world because they realize that everybody copies what the inner city black male does. And so I go to this party, and it's a beautiful party, lots of big, beautiful lights and fancy shit everywhere. And I'm walking around this place, and about 75% of the people in that room did not look like us. You know, the majority of the people making the money off this young black male in the hood are not black men or black women. And also, when you look at the condition of the black male in the hood, I go down to the south side of Chicago and I look at where these brothers are at. You know, the black male unemployment rate for young black men between the ages of 17 and 25 is about 46%. So these guys are struggling, not to mention all the brothers getting shot in the streets and everything else, thrown in jail and all that. So it's an ironic contrast when you see that all this, that literally billions, if not trillions of dollars worth of wealth is being extracted from that group of people, but they're not getting those benefits. And I think that has to shift. I'm not even gonna ask a question. You two are smart people. What are your thoughts on what I just said?
Well, that's how it's been. And when you say it needs to shift, you're absolutely right, it does. But the question is, how does the shift take place? When you have the ones that we look up to as the powerful ones still slaves? How does the shift actually happen when you have the ones that we look to and say, they made it? I mean, that's success. You're a mogul, you're a billionaire, that's what I want to be like. But in being like them, you're still fearful. You're still allowing them to come into the community, look at what we're doing. You then take it back because you want to be the good one. We'll give you some extras, but you just make sure you keep them in order. So you're right, a shift needs to happen. But how does that shift happen?
And what you're speaking and what you just addressed is a direct correlation as to why a company like a Netflix feels comfortable and emboldened to do what it is that they do and have done. It is the reason why you hear about so many individuals speaking of color in reference to the disparity in pay, especially amongst women. So everything that we're seeing, and we have to look at it from a standpoint that as individuals who came from slavery, and they say it takes 30 days to form a habit, but from 1619 to 1863, I believe about 244 years, and we know it didn't end at the Emancipation Proclamation discrimination at that point. To go from having to pay people that you used to get for free, now you got to pay them. Now they talking about equal. And we live in a world where it's so shady that the person they call the great emancipator, and Abraham Lincoln himself, was a racist. Okay. So when you have the great emancipator is a racist?
Come on.
And he said when he freed the slaves, it was not to have equality amongst blacks and whites because they would be competing for the same job. And he believed that if there was a superior race, it would be the white race. So when you have the great emancipator who feels that way, what really do the people who are not the great emancipators feel? And this is not to make white people this way in totality, because when you have a Joaquin Phoenix to give the speech that he gave, he's deemed a hero. But when a black woman like Monique says what she says, she's deemed a complainer.
Come on.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. I saw Joaquin Phoenix's speech, and I was I was impressed by that. You know, I was impressed by his performance, but far more impressed with his most relevant performance, which was what he did when he got that award, because he didn't have to do that. Much respect to that. So, by the way, everybody, I was speaking with Academy Award-winning actress Monique and her husband Sidney Hicks, and we're talking about all kinds of stuff from Oprah and Gayle and Snoop and everything else. Do me a favor, guys, if you haven't done it yet, please hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Also, if you'd like to support the platform, join our League of Intelligent Black People at intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to do some word association with you real quick before we let you get back to your busy schedule. I'm going to throw out some names, and I would like for you to tell me what comes to mind, what are the first words that come to mind when I throw these names out. So I'm gonna start with the easiest one. Oprah Winfrey.
Where's Snoop? No. Okay. Fraudulent.
Fraudulent. Wow.
You said disconnected. Okay. That's a better word. Disconnected.
Okay. Fraudulent, disconnected. Okay. Gayle King.
In the words of Barney Rubble, ditto, Fred. Ditto. Same thing.
Same thing. So when I say Oprah and Gayle, it's almost like talking about the same person to you, or do you see a difference between the two?
No, I don't. If you close your eyes, boys, and you listen to them talk, you can't tell which one is talking. Just close your eyes and listen. You can't, for me, you can't tell which one is doing the talking. So I believe, yes, for me, same.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. Russell Simmons.
Creator.
Okay. Snoop Dogg.
True.
The truth, baby.
All right. Jada Pinkett Smith.
Baltimore.
Okay. So, so I want to ask you this question. What do you feel when you go back to Gayle's statements about Kobe Bryant, you go back to Oprah's decision to interview the accusers of Russell, or was it Gayle? Sorry, Gayle interviewed. Wait, I get it mixed up. Oh, that's right. Oprah was signed on with that documentary about that featured Russell's accusers. Gayle has done what she's done, and then you had Oprah's whole thing with Michael Jackson. What do you feel they have to gain by doing what they've done? Going after black men who are dead, interviewing the accusers without actually speaking to the accused. What do they gain from doing this? What's happening there?
If I may speak on something, and that'll get addressed as well, but to show you how devalued, for me, the black woman is, Oprah Winfrey's gone after black women too. But we never bring up how she did Toni Braxton on her show. We never speak about those interviews where you say, wait a minute, sister, why aren't you interviewing this singer or that singer? So we never speak about why she didn't have a relationship with Whoopi Goldberg for 25 years. And then when they actually sit down, now it's this whole show. I didn't know why you was mad, and I didn't know why you was mad. Well, Whoopi told me why they had a situation, okay? When you know that Oprah Winfrey had a problem with Iyanla Vanzant, but then you see Iyanla Vanzant after years apologize to Oprah Winfrey. Well, I happen to have an understanding of that situation. Iyanla didn't owe her no apology. So when you just say these black men, well, they are black women too, that she's affected their careers. But because the value is so not there, boys, it's not even brought up. And it wasn't brought up until it was with our brother Michael and our brother Russell and now our brother Kobe, and which it should be, but we get so overlooked that we're just now speaking about the demonization of our black men with this woman. She's done the same thing to black women.
So do you think she has an issue with black people just in general? What do you think's really happening there?
You take it, Daddy.
I think first, when you see the interview that she did with Barbara Walters, when she said that when she was asked, growing up, did you want to be white? And she said, yes, I did. I wanted to be white growing up. And I know I'm going to have some kickback from some of the black groups out there, as if she's not black. But again, what is old becomes new again, because to me, it's just a reenactment of the Meritorious Manumissions Act of 1710, where when you were black, you had 3 ways to get your freedom. You saved the master's life, you create an invention for the master to get rich off of, and you snitch on the black slaves such as yourself who were looking to go against the master. Somebody could say she's done all 3. Okay, she saved lives in the sense of she's made people rich with the invention of the Oprah Winfrey show, and to go and say the things that she said in reference to the people of color. And again, what's interesting is when Michael Jackson is acquitted, but you're being retried in the court of public opinion. Why are you retrying a man that was acquitted and he was judged by a jury, if I'm not mistaken, of all white people who said, we were surprised with how little evidence that they actually had against him. So we couldn't convict him. But now you're riding with individuals that in one breath they said he didn't do it, but in the next breath they said that he did. So it's almost without, and we gotta love our sister through it. In the sense of sometimes folks know not really what they do. She's not doing it to be mean. She's not doing it to be messed up. It's called survival. And sometimes when you are a person of color and you are looked at in high esteem, especially by whites, there almost seems to be a feeling as if she wants to be the only one, which makes sense as to why she had an issue with Whoopi Goldberg, who won an Academy Award in the same, and they were in what?
Color Purple.
The Color Purple. So, here's another black woman who you're going to bring her family on after she won the Academy Award, but you just said you were bringing her brother on. Here's another black woman who you're watching her take a hit, and they say she's difficult, but she has no contractual obligation to do anything for Lionsgate. Her deal was with Lee Daniels Entertainment. But you just said when you see something, say something, but you have watched it and you've said nothing. Why would that be? So again, I don't think it's specific to the black man. It's just that what black men have in their favor that black women don't, it's the support of black women.
Interesting. Okay. So what do you think is, as you sort of seen Oprah and Gayle kind of go after, and I did see that that Tony Braxton video you put on your Instagram. I watched that, and I wasn't aware of that, so you actually educated me on that. And you've seen Oprah and Gayle, kind of do what they did when it came to Kobe and Russell and Michael, etc. And then I forgot about the Gayle King interview with R. Kelly, which netted her, tens of millions of dollars in that big contract she got. Why do you think that they are incapable of even mentioning the Harvey Weinsteins of the world while they're going down this trail of black people? What's stopping them from being honest about Weinstein the way they claim to want to be honest about everybody else?
What did you just say Gayle got when she did that R. Kelly interview?
Oh, she got tens of millions of dollars. That was right when she signed that $11 million deal. I think she got.
So now I'm gonna ask you boys, what you think is stopping them from interviewing the ones that sign their paychecks?
Oh, CBS.
Stopping them.
Oh, I imagine the powers that be, but maybe I figured you can explain the dynamics a little bit better. Because what I gather is that Weinstein was just that guy that everybody wanted to be down with until they didn't want to be down with him anymore. And so it's almost like it's an embarrassment for everybody who was ever affiliated with this guy. And I'd like to get your take on it, as a Hollywood insider, in terms of what you saw that might keep people from speaking honestly about not just Weinstein, but a lot of the debaucherous shit that's going on in Hollywood.
Well, I'll tell you what keeps people from speaking. because we'll snatch your career. We'll take your livelihood. Like when, you know, when people say, well, why do you think people are fearful? Well, if you watch James Baldwin, and I posted it, and when he said, what happens is when you get the nigga that says, I'm not tolerating it, then what that white man says is, we will take that one nigga and we will show all the other niggas what we'll do with this one nigga. So now you other niggas better know your place and you better be fearful, because see what we did to that nigga? So I'm that, I'm that
nigga. We all that nigga. Everybody in the chat, if you are that nigga, say I.
Okay.
We all gonna be that nigga. I love it.
When you are that nigga, but then you have to fight with people that look just like you. And you're saying, wait, why are you balling your fist up over here? Because you know what I'm saying is the truth. You know what I'm saying is correct, but they look back at me with eyes that say, I know what you're saying is true, Monique, but shit, I got a mortgage. I got, listen, I'm enjoying the life I'm living. And when you know about a man, and I speak of him as often as we can, Kurt Flood, who is responsible for free agency in sports, but you never hear that black man's name. And that black man went to his attorney and said, if I raise hell about this, will I ever play again? And his attorney said, no, you will never play again. He said, well, will it make it better for the next ones coming? And his attorney said, yes, you'll change it, but you won't play again. So to watch a documentary of the black men that played with him, and they all said, we knew he was right, but we was too afraid to say something. So when you ask me, why don't we speak up? Boys, we've been trained not to speak up. And when you do speak up, you then have people like your friend, Leonard, who calls himself Charlemagne the God and gives you a title of Donkey of the Day, because you're saying, wait a minute, y'all, this is not right.
And every year that goes by that Kurt Flood is not in the Hall of Fame is in a subliminal way the Major League Baseball, MLB, saying, we cannot glorify someone who's going to stand up against us. So we got to keep it silent. So that man not only should be in the Hall of Fame, but he should also have something directed back to his family. A damn dollar from every Major League Baseball player who's ever benefited from free agency, $1. Because interestingly enough, what he was fighting for, two white guys end up implementing, but it happened quietly. But they had already did what he was trying to do, and it worked once it was affecting them. It's kind of like Richard Pryor said some years ago. A problem could be happening in the hood, but when it reaches white folks, it becomes an epidemic. And then it changes. So it's one of those things where she just hit it right on the head. We've been trained to be afraid. That's why you can't be mad at people who are fearful, because they're not fearful on purpose. But the only thing we can do is keep having these conversations right here, in the hopes that what you are afraid of is already happening due to the fact that you are afraid.
Wow.
And you know, boys, too, when you speak about a shift, there needs to be a shift. One thing we've allowed ourselves to be lied to. And then we buy the lie and we run with that lie. And this woman just dropped on my heart. When I was in elementary school, all the way till I got out of school, I was always taught that Rosa Parks was the first Black woman to refuse to give up her seat. That is what I was taught. That's what I believed. Well, when you find out that not only was she not the first, she wasn't the second. She was actually the third Black woman, but because she looked like what she looked like, then they said they'll accept her, but they wouldn't accept Claudette Colvin, who was 15 years old, a dark brown baby, and who was kicking ass. She said, y'all gonna have to whip my ass to get me up off this bus now. Everybody, let's go. She was actually the first one. So can you imagine? And that woman is still alive, boys. And she's fighting for her place in history. but it's as if she never happened. And we as a community, as the NAACP, we accepted that. And we kept the lie going. So in our community, depending on what you look like, is how your story will be heard. And I say that for me personally. When Gabrielle Union spoke out, as she should have, please let me be clear, as she should have, no one said donkey of the day. No one said, are you out your mind? No one said anything. When there was a sister that just spoke out, Nia Long was on your boy's show, The Breakfast Club, and she was speaking about the inequality and the unjust, and your boy was like, yeah. So someone would say, well, what's different? See, I'm a fat Black woman. As Hattie McDaniel was a fat Black woman. We can't really push your agenda because you don't look the part. But Lena Horne looks the part, but you don't look the part. So when you say, how do we make the shift? We have to make the shift dealing with honesty. To say, all right, y'all, we got to erase his story and we got to tell our story.
And stop strategizing with what we think is going to appease the master and start strategizing with what is the truth.
Come on.
All right. Everybody who's watching, this is a great conversation that we get a chance to have with Academy Award-winning actress Monique and her husband, Mr. Sidney Hicks. I want to make sure everybody that's watching, make sure we support this family, because they are taking on some battles that a lot of people won't take on. And I want to mention that Monique has a new comedy special. It's called Monique and Friends, right?
Yes.
Monique and Friends. It's on Showtime. So everybody go support. And also, what your YouTube channel is it called? Monique Worldwide? Is that?
Yes.
Okay. And anything else you want to mention here that we can support?
Hey, they're going to talk about the basketball team.
We just signed on to be owners of a basketball team in Houston. And I'm going to tell you why we're so excited, because it's mixed gender. It's men and women playing together. So we're taking players that was with the NBA, the WNBA, and we putting them on the same court together and saying, go get that.
Global mixed gender leagues.
Yes. And again, I appreciate when you say y'all support them, because oftentimes people have said to us, y'all go do your own thing. Don't worry about them. Well, we are. We are doing our own thing. And we're asking our community. And that's the community of people that want to do it the right way. We don't care what color you are. You just want to do it the right way. We're saying, now let's all walk in what we're saying. Y'all said go get your own. We did. So now let's support.
All right. So everybody in the chat that agrees to go support, make sure you support. What's the name of that league?
Global Mixed Gender League.
Oh, Global Mixed Gender League. All right. So everybody support the Global Mixed Gender League. Support the special. Monique and Friends is on Showtime. Hit the thumbs up button, by the way, and the subscribe button, the notification bell, and all that good stuff. And so, Monique, I want to ask you one last question, or either one of you can answer. I'm going to let you all get the last word on this. The last time we talked, I asked you, I said, why does everybody love Oprah so much anyway? How did Oprah get so much power? And you hit it a little bit earlier, but I'd like for you to elaborate on it. It's like I've literally thought about this since you said it, and you just said, you answered real simple. You said because she's a fat Black woman. Now, which almost sounds in contrast to what you were saying earlier, almost that being the fat Black woman, if you want to call it that, was a liability. But in Oprah's case, it's almost like the argument is that that's an advantage for her. Now, my thought, I'm thinking about the mammy that took care of the babies back on the plantation. That's what I'm visualizing. But what were you thinking when you made that statement?
When Oprah first came out, she was nurturing. Oprah made you feel like she was sitting right there in your living room with you saying, girl, what? Stop it. She was that fat Black woman who we got flabby arms, and when the world go wrong, you can lay up on our bosom and we're going to make you feel better. That's who Oprah Winfrey was. When she came on your TV, whatever your problem was, that Black fat woman was going to make it better. That Black fat woman forgot she was a Black fat Black woman and became a white woman. Became a white man. So that's what happened, in my humble opinion. See, again, for us, we love to be nurtured. Who doesn't? And we're known to be that nurturing person. When people come up to me, and I'm grateful for it, and say, Auntie, can I have a hug? Of course you can, baby. Let these big arms wrap up on your back and see how it feels, because that's what we've been raised up in, that kind of love. And that's who that woman was. When she first came on, boys, I too was addicted to Oprah Winfrey. Like, look at her, she looked like me. She know what I'm dealing with and what I'm going through. Something clicked over and said, oh, now they accept me. Now they think I'm something special and wonderful. So I no longer need y'all. Let me slide y'all out the way. And let me go over here and play with these friends in the quote unquote mainstream. She forgot.
And you can't beat her up. You can, but the reality is when you start getting surrounded by folks, I've had the privilege of walking, and I say privilege, of when Monique and I got together as a couple and I went into business meetings, I had the privilege of seeing her white agent saying that Monique slept on her floor with her second husband and her kids in the midst of a pitch meeting. And I looked at Monique after the pitch meeting and I'm saying, unless I blacked out, when did that happen? And she said it didn't. I said, well, her brother, who was her manager at the time, I'm like, how are you and how are you allowing these things to be said when they're not true, much less have nothing to do with selling a show? But why is she doing that? Now, this person she eventually fired and said, because you were racist. 14 years later, she gets a call back from that same person and says, I just needed to tell you that you were right. Not the Ku Klux Klan racist, like she gonna burn, but the racist where I'm gonna accept racism being imposed upon my client because I'm too fearful of the white important men that are in this room to stand up against it, even though I know I'm wrong. And if a white woman, in which she was, is fearful and learns the ways of the men who are in that room who happen to be Caucasian, surely we can't, since we're dealing with our intelligent people, we would be remiss if we didn't understand that Oprah typically is the only Black woman in the room. So when you're surrounded by people who don't look like you, who are telling you exactly how you should act, because you no longer are just Black, you are doing white business as a Black woman, but you've now transcended your color, and now it's as if you're more than. So this is how people end up losing themselves.
Wow. Well, you know, I can't disagree with you. You know, some of that behavior doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't. And I want to say thank you, both of you, for speaking your truth. And I'm gonna tell you, I know you know, we got a few 100,000 people that are kind of hanging out on our platform, and I do surveys. Oh yeah, everybody say hi back, and I'm gonna tell you, they're really rooting for y'all, and so and I know you have your supporters out there, but I want to remind you that you do, and also I said it privately, I'll say it publicly. If there's anything I can do to be of support, all you gotta do is make that call. So God bless both of you. Thanks for hanging out with me.
Appreciate you, baby.
Thank you.
All right. So everybody, please give Monique and her husband Sydney a digital thank you, a round of applause for joining us. And also her comedy special is called Monique and Friends. It's on Showtime. Everybody support that. Also, the Global Mixed League, is that Global Mixed Gender? Okay, Global Mixed Gender League. That is the basketball league that they are participating in as well. Support that as well. Also, hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe before you go. And if you want to help us grow the platform, please feel free to join us at intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins, and you guys have a wonderful day. And thank you all again for joining us. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you, brother.
Take care now.